Welcome back, my little ravens, and I have to apologize if this episode is a bit sporadic. I have just come out of a week that's full of exams and assignments. The take-home exam I had to do was, quite frankly, badly worded and not as long as I thought it would be. They only gave us 3 questions, and I'm sort of hoping that was correct and that I did the right exam, because otherwise I'm screwed. Anyway, we are now looking at the chilling adventures of Sabrina, chapter 14, the Lupercalia. So before we begin, I want to give you guys, if you don't know what the Lupercalia is, I want to give you a brief history. So what it was an ancient annual festival that was held in the city of Rome around or between February the 13th and February the 15th in order to cleanse the city of evil spirits to ensure good health and fertility. It was also known as Dies Februatus, mostly after the instrument of purification known as the Februea, which is where actually February comes from, if you didn't know that. Lupercalia derives from the word lupus, meaning wolf, and this is because of the fact that Romulus and Remus, the founders of Rome, they were suckled by a she-wolf by the name of Lupa, in a cave that lay at the foot of the Palatine Hill, which is where Romulus supposedly founded Rome. And what happened during the Lupercalia was that there would be a whole lot of feasting. There would be sacrifices of goats and a dog by the priesthood of the Lupercalia. There would be an offering of cakes by the Vestal Virgins. There was a fertility rite where the goatskin-clad priesthood of the Lupercalia would strike women who want to be conceived. So, let's see how Netflix has handled this. So, it starts off with Sabrina at a party with her friends. Well, friends in quotation marks, I suppose, considering the Weird Sisters don't really call her friends. Anyway, so she and Nick are dancing, the Weird Sisters are dancing with Ambrose. Sabrina starts asking all of these questions, especially seeing Ambrose and Prudence make out, and as we all know, Ambrose has a boyfriend. She asks if Luke won't get jealous. Ambrose says not to worry, he's on a mission anyway, and Prudence says, well, we're just preparing for Lupercalia. And Sabrina starts asking all of these questions about Lupercalia. I mean, she was raised in a witch household. How could they have not educated her on this before? Anyway, she asks her aunts what exactly it is, and they answer that it's a lusty pastoral festival started under the Roman witches of the reign of Caligula. Now, let's go back to history, shall we? It wasn't started in Caligula's reign. Why? Because the Lupercalia festival and descriptions of it of 44 BC attest to the fact that it was before Caligula. Because Julius Caesar used it as a backdrop for his rather staged public refusal of the golden crown offered to him by Mark Antony. I'm sure we have all heard of that happening in history. It happened on the Lupercalia. So, incorrect fact number 1 of this stupid episode. Oh dear. I had really hoped that they would try a little harder. But then again, this series is a shit show, so I'm just going to get through this. Okay, so the rest of the explanation is historically accurate. I just wish they got the date right. Oh, for fuck's sake. Okay, according to this stupid series, the Lupercalia is divided into 3 events. The matching, where you will be paired with a random warlock. The courting, where the witch and the warlock get to know each other. And then the hunt. Now, I have watched this series before, and I have several objections. Fortunately, I'll get to those soon enough. Brilliant, so not only is Zelda trying to convince Sabrina to participate in a ritual that she may or may not want to join in, and Hilda is naturally telling her, like a normal adult and responsible parental figure, that if she's not ready, then it's fine. The problem is Sabrina's going through that phase that everyone goes through. Am I ready or am I not ready? This whole conversation was frankly really, really uncomfortable. That's how I know that my pagan standard, that my pagan attitude to sex is completely... It's a remnant of my Christian upbringing. Let's just say I'm more apprehensive about following the rites of Aphrodite and her son than some other pagans are. I'm sure you have heard of those pagan rituals where you have to get naked. Well, I never join in those. Never. Because I don't believe that clothes are a restriction of my magic. Plus, it makes me hella uncomfortable. Anyway, so Zelda gives her niece this pop-up book, and quite frankly, it's just about as inaccurate as you can get. First of all, the Lupercalia had no maypoles. Maypoles are a old Anglo-Saxon / Celtic tradition. The maple wasn't used in the Lupercalia. It just wasn't. It didn't exist back then. Oh my god, why, what were they thinking? What were they doing? I mean, were they just eating pie and thinking, oh wait, let's just shove together this old Roman festival together with the Beltane mating ritual? And unfortunately, that's a thing. In old Anglo-Saxon England, Beltane was a lustful holiday. Problem was, it was on the 1st of May, not to the 13th or the 15th of February. So it's two completely different rituals compressed into one. And as a pagan and also as a historian, I am flipping out here. It's... Oh god. Let's continue. And Nick astral projects into her room while she's reading the book. And then she says, what if I've been doing something private? Yeah, Nick, we ladies need our privacy. You think that boys are the only ones who need their space? Hello? Oh god. Anyway, they have this really romantic kind of sexual tension conversation. It's basically sexual tension, that conversation, and the psychopomp just had to ruin everything. Thank you. And when Sabrina says, let's see what will happen at the matching, Nick basically hatches a plan to make sure that they get together. Well, this is one way of getting a first time with your girlfriend, isn't it? I am so glad this is not reality. I don't think my boyfriend would have participated. I don't know. You'll have to ask the rose that, my little ravens. And we cut to Lilith having some serious problems after she lost her bet with Papa Satan. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. She's completely lost it. I mean, this poor demon, mother of all demons, has to endure Valentine's Day. I mean... this is the only comedic part, really, that I have encountered while watching this. I mean, yeah, it's humiliating, but at the same time, it's really fucking funny. And then Stolas just has to break off all the comedy by saying or suggesting to poison the punch at the sweethearts dance. What, really, you murderous little raven? Is that the best you can do? I mean, it's Lilith, for crying out loud. Lilith. I think she's a bit more imaginative than that. Not that it will solve her problems, and fortunately she's clever enough to realise that. Okay, everybody, Roz needs to recheck her mind to see what's appropriate as a Valentine's card, because the card that Harvey drew for her, I would rather give that to the Bride of Frankenstein's monster. Haha, I know my literature. Frankenstein is the doctor, not the fucking monster. Okay, let's continue. So, Roz, she kind of has apprehensions about Harvey asking her to the sweethearts dance because he's her best friend's ex-boyfriend. Now, kudos to Roz for thinking about her friend first. So, I guess she's not as bad as she was to begin with. Okay, character development there. So, we have the maple dance for Lupercalia. Dorcas is naturally being a bitch. She wants to be paired with Nick because her other two sisters were. And so she wants to get her turn. I mean, for crying out loud. I don't get it. Nick is with Sabrina. I know witches in this universe have a really morally ambiguous stance on relationships, if you can even call it that, but that's a line you can't cross. I mean, it was fine before. Nick wasn't really with anyone, so it didn't matter, but even the witches recognize that there is something between those two. So, not only is Dorcas a very bad actress, she's a Class A... I'm not even going to say it. Let's continue. All I have to say is they picked some really good violin tunes. Those tunes even remind me of Lindsay Sterling's work. I'm sure you've heard of her. If you haven't, look her up. Her work is amazing. Her violin skills are Apollo level. It is like she's been blessed by Apollo and the muses themselves. I have always admired her work, and I'm a little envious of it, I might add, because my only skills are with an organ and with an ocarina. The violin is a beast I haven't been able to tame ever. But these the dances of these witches, wow, okay, they've got skills, and I don't know if you've seen their movement, but they looked like they were going to make a hexagram or a pentagram or even a septagram. They were dancing in almost sacred geometry. It's stunning. I hate to admit it, but kudos to them. Kudos to the choreographer. And Dorcas's little plan fails thanks to Nick's Machiavellian genius. He paid one of the more nerdy, but still okay-ish warlocks, Melvin, to swap places and wear a glamour. Not bad. Not bad at all. Because when I first watched this, I genuinely thought that Dorcas was going to get her head ripped off by Sabrina, but Sabrina was completely nonchalant, and I thought, Sabrina, she just stole your boyfriend. And then when Nick turned around, I was just like, well, you little snake, I love you. So, okay, that's, it caught me out for a moment, so, not bad. And Dr. Cerberus basically rejects Hilda. I never felt like punching a screen more than I'd ever, ever. And on Valentine's Day as well. Some men just don't have any class. I know it's for a good reason, but some men just don't have class. And Sabrina naturally gives Roz the get-go, and basically the go-ahead to say yes to Harvey, after Roz tells her that he's asked her out on a date, and Sabrina confesses that she also has a sort of a new relationship. Keep articulating, Raven. That she is trying to see how far it will go, what she wants with it, that sort of thing. You know, basic normal teenage stuff. Just in a very witchy, weird, compressed, completely historically inaccurate, and completely inaccurate in every single aspect, since they're not doing sacrifices. I'll stop now. festival. Honestly, I don't know what to think of this. This episode is not exactly filler, but I just don't think right now it adds anything to it. I mean, it furthers Sabrina and Nick's relationship, which I think is a good thing, but let's just continue. Maybe it will come later. So, after that, there is a rather awkward conversation between Theo and his dad. His dad asks him if he got any Valentines and if he wanted to go out and buy a new dress for the Valentine's ball. Theo still did not come clean to his about his decision to live as a guy, which is what he wants. And Theo carefully and with a lot of precision and caution confesses to his father that he no longer wants to be Susie but wants to be called Theo instead. And personally, I was waiting for everything to blow up in his face, because I have heard on the internet a lot of stories about how entire communities and families have turned their backs to their children because they are either gay or lesbian or they're transgender or they have some sort of dysphoria, or they're drag queens, or they're asexual. And I've heard a lot of negative stories about how these communities and families kick people out or discriminate against them just for who they are. And I was afraid that Theo's dad would be just like that. But I guess that is too... Oh, no, we can't have too much drama in this, otherwise it might actually be good and we have a good storyline. The father tentatively accepts. He accepts this nuke casually being dropped on him, as Theo tentatively asks him if he can wear a suit, if he could get a new haircut, and everything else. I know the actor clearly shows the father's discomfort and his unsurety about the whole situation, but he's not outright hostile, which I think is a good middle ground. Of course, I'm happy that he didn't kick Theo out, but I was hoping for a bit more confusion. Like blatant confusion. Because if it was my child, who I have seen grow up as a boy or a girl, and suddenly they come out with this, I would be a little unsure myself. I would be a bit more tentative. I would be hesitant. Because that is what I am like as a person. I wouldn't reject my own child, of course not. I'm a mother in that scenario, I am their mother, of course I wouldn't. And I have nothing against the LGBT community, which also helps. But I feel like there was something missing here. I don't know what it is, but I'm unsure about this entire scene altogether. So, the witches are preparing for Lupercalia. They're going out into the woods with their witch and warlock, with these baskets to use during the ritual. Now, these baskets, the accuracy of them, I honestly don't know if they've done this correctly. Because in the sources that I have read, I could find nothing about a basket containing all of these ingredients, including oysters, for virility and fertility. I could find nothing of the kind, but then again, they've already twisted the Lupercalia. They might have added another element in for fun. So, let's continue. So, Faustus and Zelda are also in the woods because there was one more basket. Yeah, you can see for yourself how that conversation goes. Sabrina and Nick are doing the ritual with the ingredients. Nick making a joke out of it, obviously. And we have the howling of a wolf. Lupercalia. I could see the irony there. Oh, this is going to be interesting. And, well, Nick naturally tries to explore Sabrina's mortal side and suggests that they observe the mortal Valentine's Day instead of Lupercalia. Sabrina asks if he'll be disappointed if he doesn't get to chicka wow wow. And he's just like, no, because hey, he cares about her. Mind over body, apparently. Not that he minds her body. Okay, so we have two very, very hilarious scenes. One where Zelda isn't trying to encourage meek, fair-minded, pure Hilda to seduce Dr. Cerberus. It's not... Oh, poor Hilda. Oh, God. It's completely out of her nature. And the following scene is even more hilarious. She's already going through much, Lilith. Lilith already has to deal with Valentine's Day. And on top of everything else, Mrs. Mary Wardwell, her mortal persona that she's kind of stuck in, has a fiancé. Surprised her with flowers. The pain, the torture that she was in. This is going to make me sound like a sadist, but it was fucking funny as hell. I enjoyed watching her squirm, throw those flowers onto the desk and just yell, Mrs. Makes! in an exhausted, annoyed tone. So, Lilith tries to kill her... Well, how should I say this? Her costume? No, that's a bit too objectifying. Her host. No, that makes her sound like a parasite. Okay, fine, just Miss Wardwell's fiancé. She tries to kill him. Doesn't go according to plan because he turns out to be nice. She likes this present that he got her. A fetish doll from the Shona people, which frankly looks like something that could have come straight out of one of my nightmares. And, well, let's just say Sabrina and her chums are all getting ready for the sweethearts dance. Roz and Sabrina both look killer, the guys look killer, and Hilda is going to go out hunting in inverted commas. Okay, basically your mundane scenes that happen in almost every single fantasy, romance, series, episode, and film. Not necessarily in that order. Okay. First of all, Hilda sucks at flirting. Second of all, she really knows how to fucking pick 'em. At first when I saw it, or should I say him, I thought he was a fucking werewolf. Well, considering he's called Dr. Cerberus, I shouldn't have been too surprised. I mean, for crying out loud, Cerberus is a three-headed dog and he looks lupine as hell. But apparently he's a succubus. What the fuck? Succubi don't look like that! They look almost demon-esque. They look like humans. That's the whole fucking point of them. They don't look like wolfmen. What? I think everyone is just taking the whole lupus of Lupercalia way too fucking seriously. So, turns out bullies can be redeemed. If only they actually did so in real life. Anyway, Sabrina and Nick, they slip out of the dance. They start canoodling in the library and get chased out of said library by a giant freaking wolf. That turns out is actually Nick Scratch's familiar. And the fucking familiar has the same name as the crown princess of the Netherlands. Amazing. Fuck you. Is that supposed to be a stone thrown at the Netherlands or what? Joke, by the way. Joke. Anyway, Amalia has some serious issues. Jealousy issues. Apparently, she doesn't like it when a female gets too close to Nick. Basically, she looks at him like he's her pup. Romulus and Remus, anyone? Only this time it's really, construed. Oh dear. So, Lilith cooks up a full story in order to get Nick to execute Amalia. Because of her dangerous jealousy, Roz comes clean to Harvey that she is able to see the future, which he takes very well since she's honest with him. Seriously, this dude, the actor annoys me, Harvey annoys me, everything about this fucking character annoys me. But before I start ranting, let's continue. Turns out her mortal fiancé is not as bad as she thought. I mean, for crying out loud, he gives her foot massages. I mean, the Rose gives me foot massages, but hey, women still like seeing it on TV, and it's kind of a good feeling. In this case, it's funny, because he has no idea who he's pampering, and that's the biggest joke of them all. And Stolas is just indignantly squawking in the background. This is one of the times I really wanted to wring the writers' necks, because knowing what Stolas is going to say at this point would have been amazing. The interaction between Lilith and Stolas has always been one of my favorites. Well, favorite interactions. And I'm just missing that extra element with the familiars talking. Okay. So, Nick actually goes in to kill his familiar. And, Zelda and the High Priest have a interesting discussion. And the High Priest tells her this, I don't know whether it's a cock and bull story, but I'm gonna go on the assumption that it is because he's a manipulative, arrogant nitwit. So, yeah, he apparently confided in Edward when he was the protege and he was the and Faustus was the mentor, that he planned to ask Zelda's hand in marriage. And Edward made his feelings very, very plain. I think he saw right through this man even back then and wouldn't let his sister anywhere near this crazy, misogynistic, backwards thinking moron. And Faustus proposes in a rather interesting fashion by presenting Zelda not with a ring, but with 2 turtle dove hearts. Don't ask me from which culture or which tradition that this comes from, because I have not got the foggiest idea. I might look it up at some point, but I have no idea if this is just fantasy or if it's actually based on something. So let's continue. So, next scene. Dr. Cerberus explains his condition. Hilda basically threatens to keep him away with a rolling pin, which is the best out of all of this. He explains how he got to his state. And Hilda tries to find a way to get around his little succubus problem so that they can actually be together. Which is probably one of the most intelligent things in this episode so far. Oh yeah. She comes clean that she's a witch. And a satanic one at that. What did he tell you about not straying from the fucking path? If someone says don't do something in a movie, the one thing you should never do is fucking do it. Why is it always that these characters are so stupid? So, Zelda tells Hilda that Faust has proposed marriage, and that she's going to accept on the grounds that she is going to make him better, make her family better, and seek her own glory. Now, somehow I doubt it will be as easy as that. And when Hilda confesses that she is entangled with a sex demon, Hilda gives some really inappropriate and TMI advice on how to deal with it. Oh, I forgot that satanic witch is apparently like summoning sex demons on a whim, apparently, or something like that. That's what this thing is telling me. This is so stupid. I will keep saying it every single episode. This series is stupid. So stupid, it's actually funny. Sometimes. And sometimes I just feel like crying in absolute pain and anguish. Oh, God. Oh my God. Little Red Riding Hood and the Big Bad Wolf? Really? Really? You're going to not only besmirch the name of Lupercalia, you're not only going to drag the Maypole into this, you're going to manipulate Little Red Riding Hood and the Big Bad Wolf as if it's some part of some messed up, twisted version of a holy ritual. What the hell? What the... I'm done. I'm fucking done. I'm killing myself over here by getting angry all the time. Every single episode is the same. They almost get it. They almost get it. And then they just have to fuck it up. And Dorcas is exactly what I thought it would be. A manipulative, vindictive, jealous... I don't want to say it, but I do, especially after what I've just seen. I'm done with Dorcas. Bloody hell. I don't want to say it, but I think you all know what I'm thinking. And while making out with Harvey, Roz's cursed ancestors' blindness catches up to her. She goes completely blind within moments. Yeah, she goes completely blind. And I'm afraid that's not the only disaster that happens. Turns out Nick is a lying piece of shit. He never executed Amalia. Amalia attacks Sabrina. Nick? Well, they're having an altercation and clearly late from having a last-minute rendezvous that's, albeit technically rape, if you're going to look at it by Dorcas, is shocked to find that Amalia is trying to kill Sabrina. Amalia then proceeds to attack Nick, and Sabrina is forced to do what he should have done a long time ago. More than, let's see, he should have already done it by half an hour of this stupid thing. Am I saying that right? Half an hour? No, more than half an hour. Maybe he should have already done it like 10, 20, 25 minutes ago. He should have already done it, but he didn't because he was so hung up on this stupid familiar that's technically his only family, but she's gone batshit crazy. He should have already done it. Sabrina didn't have to go through all of that had Nick not been such a bloody coward. I mean, I understand why he did it. Don't get me wrong. But he brought all of this on himself. So, my little ravens, I think we'll leave it on a downer, and I think that's enough for now. I will see you in my next shitpost and in the next chapter. Be well, my little ravens, and I'll see you.